When did a LinkedIn post shatter your entire reality at 60? I am literally sitting here 60 years old, supposed to be saving for retirement, and I just found out my long-term partner has a whole secret life, not via a sext or a credit card bill, but via a congratulatory LinkedIn post. You read that right, LinkedIn. The place where people humble brag about their corporate ladder climbing is where I discovered my whole life is a lie. I am Jack Lewis, 60M, and I just need to type this out before I throw my beat-up Toyota Corolla into the nearest retention pond. I don't even know where to start with this dumpster fire, honestly. I guess the context is important because past me was such an idiot. I've been with him, let's just call him T, for 2 years, 8 months. We've been living together in this ridiculous cramped apartment 3B for the last year and a half, sharing the $1,247 monthly rent, trying to split costs. I say trying because the math hasn't been mathing for about 6 months now. I'm deep in the sandwich generation hell, you know. I'm supposed to be winding down looking at retirement options, but instead I'm paying for everyone. My mom is in assisted living, which costs a fortune, and then there is my BIL mooch, Sarah Butler, 26F. And GL, Sarah is family, but she is the definition of a leech right now. She moved in with me temporarily 5 weeks ago, saying she just needed a landing pad after losing her server job at Olive Garden, but temporarily has turned into her using my Netflix, Hulu, and Disney Plus accounts, eating every single thing I buy at Costco and Trader Joe's, and asking me for $200 withdrawals every time she goes out with her friends. She literally asked me last week for money, and then posted an Instagram story from a fancy cocktail bar. The audacity, but I couldn't say no because she looked at me with those big eyes and reminded me of my sister. My checking account is bleeding cash because of her, and I keep getting hit with overdraft fees. I looked at the bank statement this morning and I had spent $43.67 at the grocery store yesterday, and half of that was for her energy drinks. I am so tired. And it's not just Sarah making things hard. I also live with Chloe Lopez, 45F. Chloe is my roommate, and while I love her chaotic energy sometimes, she is also the absolute messiest person I have ever met. Like, truly messy. She leaves dirty takeout containers from Chipotle and Panera all over the living room, and last Tuesday she clogged the kitchen sink so badly I had to call a plumber and pay $85 out of pocket for the fix. She promised to pay me back, but that check is never coming. She spent $347 last weekend on a spontaneous trip to a Taylor Swift concert in another state. I mean, good for her, but I am here stressing about how I am going to pay my taxes, and she's spending enough money to cover my heating bill for 3 months on one night of music. It just adds to the constant throbbing headache that is my life right now. My relationship with T was supposed to be the one stable thing. The quiet harbor in the storm of bills, mooches, and messy roommates. T worked in tech sales, traveled a lot, which looking back was probably the first major red flag. I know past me was a clown, and he was always talking about his clients and major deals. He carried the latest Samsung Galaxy, always wore his Apple Watch, and insisted on driving a BMW he clearly couldn't afford, which was always breaking down. I thought, okay, he's ambitious. He's a little flashy, but he's solid. He told me he was divorced, that his ex had taken him for everything, and he was rebuilding. He even showed me an old, blurry divorce decree once, which looking back was probably fake. The last few weeks have been particularly stressful at my job. I work in municipal planning, which is soul-crushing enough, but I had this absolutely unreasonable customer, Maya Jones, 44F, who was single-handedly consuming all my PTO hours just dealing with her constant, demanding emails. She wanted permits approved for something totally against zoning laws, and when I told her no, she started calling me 27 times in 1 hour. Literally 27 calls. My phone was vibrating off my desk. I muted the notifications on my iPhone 14 just so I could breathe. So this Tuesday it was 11:47 a.m. I was eating a sad, forgotten lunch at my desk on the 5th floor, scrolling LinkedIn because I was actively avoiding Maya's next inevitable email when I saw it. It wasn't even a notification for me. It was a recommended post, people you may know are celebrating. I saw TS face. It was one of those professional, slightly airbrushed headshots he uses. The caption wasn't from him, it was from a woman I vaguely recognized, one of his colleagues he occasionally mentioned. The post read, "Massive congratulations to my favorite sales director T and his wonderful wife Maya on their 5th wedding anniversary this past June. So much success achieved together both professionally and personally. Always inspiring to see power couple goals achieved." I felt my stomach drop straight through the floor. It wasn't just a physical reaction, it was a total system shutdown. I couldn't breathe. My ears started ringing. I read the post again and again and again. Maya Jones, the unreasonable customer who had called me 27 times in an hour yesterday. The same Maya Jones. I knew her name and her age because I had her files open on my computer screen literally 2 inches from the LinkedIn post. Maya Jones, 44F, 5 years married, last June. T had been telling me since the day we met that he was divorced, that he lived alone, that he was fully committed to me. We had talked about retirement plans, about traveling to Italy, about getting a second dog. I had pictures of him and me framed, sitting on the bedside table right next to my Talenti gelato container I was stress eating last night. I didn't even get angry immediately. I just felt numb, disbelief. This can't be real, I'm dreaming, right? I went back to the post and clicked on the congratulator's profile to make sure I wasn't mixing up T with someone else. Nope, same company, same headshot. Then I clicked on Maya's profile, and there she was, Maya Jones, the unreasonable customer. She had a picture of them together from what looked like a resort. They were both wearing rings. In her profile summary under her job title it said, "Wife to the most supportive partner a woman could ask for." I was literally shaking. Full body shaking, I had to get out of the office. I told my supervisor I had a family emergency, grabbed my keys and walked out. I walked past the receptionist who whispered, "Oh my God, what happened?" But I just kept walking. I got into the Corolla and drove aimlessly. I ended up in the parking lot of a Target, which is where I am typing this now, eating leftover cold gas station coffee and trying not to scream. I am parked in spot 37. I started piecing things together. Everything he had ever said that felt weird suddenly made horrifying sense. His frequent business trips that meant he was out of state for 5 days straight. The fact that he never let me meet his family and always came up with an excuse about them living far away. The time I walked into the apartment at 5:30 p.m. and he was furiously hanging up his phone, stammering, "Just work, high-pressure deal." It was probably Maya. The biggest red flag of all, and I swear I am an absolute idiot for this, was the Ring doorbell footage. We have a Ring at our shared apartment. I used to check it sometimes just to see if a package arrived. T was obsessed with keeping the camera facing the street, not the door. If I ever adjusted it to face the door, he would immediately get a notification on his Apple Watch and change it back. I thought he was paranoid about privacy. No. He was paranoid about Maya checking the footage while he was supposedly on a business trip and seeing me walking in and out of the apartment we shared. The complexity of this betrayal is truly staggering. He wasn't just cheating, he was running 2 completely separate, parallel lives, and one of his wives, the real one, apparently was my work nightmare. I drove home eventually because I realized I needed proof. I needed to see his face and hear him lie one more time, or maybe I needed to see the Ring. I knew he was supposedly traveling until Thursday night. I still had time. When I got to apartment 3B, Chloe 45F was sprawled out on the couch watching Love is Blind, surrounded by 3 pizza boxes and wearing my favorite hoodie. "Oh my God, Jack, you look like you saw a ghost," she said without even taking her eyes off the screen. "Did Sarah finally ask you for a $1,000? I shook my head. I couldn't speak coherently yet. I went straight to our shared room. I had to check his things. I went through his dresser looking for any sign, nothing obvious. I opened his locked briefcase. He always told me it was proprietary client documents, and found nothing but old expense reports and a book on aggressive sales tactics. Then I checked the coat he always wears when traveling hanging on the back of the door. I put my hand in the inner pocket and felt it, a small velvet pouch. My hands were shaking again, worse this time. I opened the pouch. Inside was a platinum wedding band, thick, heavy, clearly expensive. It was engraved on the inside. I couldn't make out the tiny script right away. I had to run to the kitchen, grab my glasses, and hold it under the harsh fluorescent light. The engraving said M and T 6182019, June 2019. We had been dating since fall 2019. He had married her months before he even met me. He had been married to Maya the entire time. The math wasn't mathing, it was horrifying. I felt the rage I had been suppressing finally boil over. I wanted to take that Ring and flush it down the toilet that Chloe had almost clogged last week. I wanted to key his stupid BMW that he parks in the good spot right outside the complex. I wanted to call Maya and scream, "Your husband is living in apartment 3B with me." But I didn't. I put the Ring back exactly where I found it. The years of stress of worrying about Sarah 26F and the bills and my mom meant I was too tired for drama. I was done, just done. I felt a weird mix of devastation and absolute relief that I no longer had to pretend T was the solution to my problems. He was the problem. I immediately started plotting. I knew I had to handle this cleanly because I simply cannot afford a messy, drawn-out confrontation or legal battle, especially when I am already financially strained paying for everything. I need the security deposit back. I need to figure out the lease situation because it's in both our names, and I absolutely cannot afford the full $1,247 rent alone. I decided on the no-contact approach, which sounds insane, but hear me out. If I confront him, he will gaslight me. He will say, "You're being dramatic," or "You're remembering it wrong," or "It was just a temporary separation that I didn't tell you about." He is a salesperson. He is a professional liar. I need to be gone before he can spin the narrative. I texted Chloe, who was still glued to her TV. "Chloe, I need you to focus. I'm leaving. Now, like permanently. I need your help packing essential clothes and documents. Do not ask questions yet. Just start stuffing things into bags." Chloe finally walked in, holding a half-eaten slice of leftover pizza. "Jack, what the actual fuck? Are you running away from Sarah? Worse, just help me." I packed my important papers, my laptop, my financial statements, and a few weeks' worth of clothes. I took my Talenti Gelato container NGL because it was a small victory. I changed the Wi-Fi password and the Netflix password, which was petty, but I needed something. I made sure to grab the good towels. By the time the sun was coming up, I had everything critical loaded into the Corolla. I told Chloe I would explain later, and she just looked horrified but nodded. She promised she would watch the apartment and keep T off balance if he called. I drove straight to my mom's house in Westfield. She's in assisted living, but there's a small guest room I can crash in temporarily while I figure out the finances and the lease. I spent the next 48 hours in a fog. I didn't answer any work calls. I literally changed my Jonas contact tone to silence. I just kept rereading that LinkedIn post, the one tiny piece of digital evidence that shattered my entire reality. Then Thursday night around 8:30 p.m. T texted me. He knew I was gone. He texted, "Where are you, Jack? Call me back. Why did you take your stuff? I'm serious. We need to T-lac." I ignored him. I ignored the 12 subsequent texts. Then I got a text from Chloe. She said T was home and was absolutely livid. Chloe texted, "He's yelling, he's demanding the Wi-Fi password. He found your note. OMG, Jack, he's on his laptop and he looks like he's about to explode." My note was simple. I wrote it on a post-it and stuck it to the empty space where his Apple Watch charger usually sits. "I know everything. Check LinkedIn. Don't contact me." I felt a surge of adrenaline followed by crippling anxiety. I knew he would try to deny it, try to control the situation. I check my phone 10 minutes later. A string of texts from T. This is insane. Are you joking? I don't know what you're talking about. You are OVRECTNG. We need to talk about the rent. You can't just leave the lease. And then a new notification pinged. It wasn't from T, it was from my work email. It was from Maya Jones, 44F, the unreasonable customer, the secret wife. The subject line was simply, Ari, urgent meeting request. I opened the email. It wasn't about the zoning permits. It read, Jack, I know about your involvement with my husband. T, I saw the pictures on his phone and I know you abandoned your apartment tonight. You have made a terrible mistake. We need to meet immediately to discuss this. I suggest tomorrow morning at the coffee shop on Main Street at 9:00 a.m. You will come alone. Do not involve Chloe or anyone else. You will cooperate if you want your life and your finances to remain intact. See you there. I threw my iPhone against the wall. It bounced off the drywall and survived, thank God. She knows. Not only does she know, but she is using her professional, terrifyingly focused customer persona to demand a face-to-face confrontation, and she is using my financial distress against me. This woman who I had spent weeks trying to professionally placate now knew I was sleeping with her husband, and she was threatening my already precarious financial existence. I don't know what to do. I'm scared to meet her, but I am terrified of what she can do to me professionally or financially if I don't. She works in corporate law NGL and I'm a middle-aged man trying to survive on a municipal salary. Am I walking into a trap? Do I run away and just let the lease fall apart? Or do I meet Maya Jones, the wife I discovered on LinkedIn, tomorrow at 9:00 a.m.? I need advice. I literally cannot handle this. I threw my iPhone against the wall. It bounced off the drywall and survived, thank God. She knows. Not only does she know, but she is using her professional, terrifyingly focused customer persona to demand a face-to-face confrontation, and she is using my financial distress against me. This woman who I had spent weeks trying to professionally placate now knew I was sleeping with her husband, and she was threatening my already precarious financial existence. My mom's guest room is small, maybe 10x10, and painted this repulsive shade of beige. I started pacing, making indents in the cheap carpet. Meet Maya? No way, absolutely not. I reread her email. You will cooperate if you want your life and your finances to remain intact. That's a threat. That's corporate intimidation, but aimed at my dating life. She's a corporate lawyer NGL, and I know exactly what she's capable of just from dealing with her permit demands. She sees me as a competing permit application that needs to be permanently denied. I looked at the clock. It was 11:00 p.m. The meeting was scheduled for 9:00 a.m. tomorrow. I had maybe 9 hours to decide if I was going to walk into a legal trap set by the woman whose husband had stolen 2.5 years of my life. I finally called the one person I trust who might actually understand the legal implications of this mess. My friend, Bate 62F. Bate retired from teaching 3 years ago, but her husband is a paralegal for a big firm downtown. She knows things. She picked up on the second ring, probably still up watching reruns of some British procedural. Jack, what is going on? Chloe texted me that you abandoned ship and you sound like you're having an aneurysm. I took a deep breath. Bate T is married to Maya Jones, my unreasonable customer. She wants me to meet her tomorrow at 9:00 a.m. to discuss my finances and my life. Silence, dead silence. You're kidding me. Wait, the woman who called you 27 times about that zoning variance? The one you called the Queen of Chaos? The very same. I read her the email. When I finished, Bate was furious. Jack, do not go to that coffee shop. That email is textbook coercion. She's not meeting you to apologize or offer you tea. She's meeting you to get you to sign something or record you or force you into an agreement that screws you out of the lease and potentially exposes you to some kind of defamation claim, even if it's baseless. Do not engage. You stick to the no contact rule. No contact with T and absolutely no contact with Maya. She paused. Look, she is T.'s actual wife. You were the secret. If you engage, you give her power. You were the victim here. Don't let her turn you into the villain. Bate promised to call her husband in the morning just to get a general idea of my liability regarding the apartment lease, which was in both T.'s name and mine. The immediate advice: do not communicate. Block and ignore. Silence is the only safe strategy right now. I felt a slight drop in my anxiety level, maybe 5%. So 9:00 a.m. Friday morning, I was going to be sitting here in beige room hell drinking bad coffee and ignoring the woman who had spent weeks trying to ruin my professional life and now wanted to ruin my personal life. I blocked Maya's personal and work emails and her cell number. Then I blocked T on every platform I could think of. Phone, LinkedIn, obviously, Venmo, petty but satisfying, and changed my main email password. Fast forward to Friday 9:00 a.m. My phone was quiet, too quiet. I imagined Maya sitting at that coffee shop table staring at the door waiting for me to show up and crumble. I was eating a slightly stale Pop-Tart in my mom's assisted living guest room wearing the same socks I wore yesterday. I felt victorious and utterly pathetic all at once. Around 9:30 a.m. the text started. Not from T because he was blocked, not from Maya because she was blocked. It was Chloe 45F. Operative status, engaged. Chloe, he is losing it. He came over to my area of the living room just now, pacing like a caged animal. He keeps refreshing his laptop screen. He just yelled, "Where is my wife's email? I need to see the threat." I think he realized she contacted you. Me. Good, ignore him. Do not mention I'm at mom's. Chloe, NGL, he looks terrified. He just called someone named Mark and whispered she knows everything. She's going to ruin me. This gave me a perverse sense of satisfaction. T, the ambitious tech sales director with the flashy BMW and the secret life, was finally seeing the consequences of his actions, and those consequences looked a lot like his terrifying corporate lawyer wife. I felt bad for Mark, whoever he was. Probably another unfortunate soul T owed money or lies to. The biggest issue remained the lease. I called Bate again around noon. Okay, Jack. My husband says since you two were just domestic partners, it's not a divorce settlement. It's a simple contract dispute. However, because you are both jointly and severally liable, if you just stop paying, the landlord can sue both of you for the full amount, which ruins both your credit scores. The only clean way out is mutual agreement or finding a replacement tenant immediately. Mutual agreement with a professional liar and his enraged wife. Yeah, right. So I'm stuck paying $1,247 a month indefinitely, I whined. No, you're stuck until T finds a new roommate or he gets Maya to move in or until you find a replacement. I had to be pragmatic. I needed the security deposit back, $1,247 split between us, and I needed my name off that lease ASAP. I had zero savings because of Sarah and Mom. I couldn't risk the credit hit. I hatched a terrible, potentially risky plan. I texted Chloe. Me, okay, agency, I need you to do something unethical. Chloe, OMG, is this about the last slice of pizza? Because I swear T ate it. Me, no, I need you to convince T that I am the threat. Update, the Maya fallout and the Sarah problem. So 2 days later, Saturday afternoon, I was still holed up. I hadn't dared leave the assisted living facility. I kept feeling like Maya was going to show up in a black suit, flanked by 2 bodyguards demanding I turn over TS' favorite sweater as evidence. I wish I was joking about the paranoia TBH, but then the chaos came to me courtesy of Sarah Butler 26F. Sarah, my BIL mooch, had been staying at apartment 3B, leeching off my generosity. When I bilayed, Chloe was supposed to manage the situation and maybe use Sarah as a human shield against T's rage. Except Sarah, being Sarah, decided that since T was home and Jack was gone, T was her new sugar daddy. I got a frantic text from Chloe. Sarah just asked T for $200 for emergency concert tickets and told him you abandoned her. T is too busy panicking about Maya to notice he's being mooched. I called Chloe immediately. Chloe, you need to get Sarah out of there. I don't want her near that unfolding disaster. Jack, she won't leave. She says she has a connection with T because they both hate adult responsibility. She's currently drinking his expensive imported beer and watching YouTube videos on his laptop. This was a nightmare. Sarah was a walking, talking liability and I needed to cut the cord entirely. Tell her to call me, I instructed Chloe. If she doesn't, change the Wi-Fi password again and put all my Costco snacks in your room. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I knew it was Sarah. Jack, why are you being so dramatic? T says you're being emotional. I need to know where the good laundry detergent is and can you Venmo me $150? I'm starving and T is being weirdly quiet. The sheer audacity. I was 60 years old, living in a glorified closet, dealing with the discovery of my long-term partner's secret marriage, and this 26-year-old parasite was demanding laundry soap money. I snapped. It wasn't T's betrayal that broke me, it was Sarah's entitlement. Sarah, I said, my voice shockingly steady, I am not Venmoing you anything ever again. You need to find a new place to live right now. I am done supporting you. You have 5 days to collect your things from 3B and find a job. If you try to contact me for money again, I will block you. This is non-negotiable. A beat of silence. Wait, you're serious, but I'm family. You owe me. I owe you nothing, Sarah. I'm drowning financially because I kept bailing you out. You are not my child. You are a grown woman. Get your life together. I hung up before she could start the waterworks that usually guaranteed her a $100 payout. I immediately texted Chloe. Sarah is officially evicted. Send her packing. Change the locks if necessary. It felt terrible, like cutting off a finger, but necessary. This whole mess was forcing me to finally set the boundaries I should have established decades ago. I had been so worried about everyone else's needs, Mom, Sarah, Chloe, TS fake narrative, that I had completely neglected mine. The lease gambit. Okay, so I need to update you on what happened after that Sarah confrontation because that led directly to my insane genius plan to get off the apartment lease. I needed T to willingly sign the lease release form. Why would he do that? Because I had leveraged Maya. I called Chloe on Sunday afternoon to discuss strategy. T is still glued to his laptop, Chloe reported. He's calling everyone trying to figure out what you know and how you know it. I saw him Googling LinkedIn privacy settings. Perfect, I said. Here is the new narrative. You need to convince him that I am completely unhinged and that I am about to expose him to his entire professional network and crucially to the zoning department where Maya is currently battling my colleagues. I like it, Chloe chirped. A drama queen performance. Exactly, I need him to believe that I don't care about the money, that I only care about public humiliation. The one thing T values more than his fake marriage is his fake career. The goal was to make T believe that getting me permanently silent and off the premises was worth sacrificing his security deposit and assuming the full rent. Chloe went to work that night. She texted me the transcript later. Chloe acting horrified. T, you look terrible. You need to call Jack. T panicked. I can't. He blocked me. He says he knows everything. Maya's going to ruin me. Chloe, no, Maya's the least of your problems right now. Jack is threatening to do something completely irreversible. T, what? What is he going to do? Chloe, he told me he's going to use his municipal contacts to leak the whole story, including the fact that his customer, Maya Jones, is your wife, to every single local news outlet, and he's going to start with your biggest client list on LinkedIn. He doesn't want money, T, he wants revenge. He is talking about creating a separate LinkedIn profile just to post the wedding ring photo and tag Maya and her entire law firm. He said he has nothing left to lose. He's going to sacrifice his job and yours. T, no, he wouldn't. He's too financially prudent. Chloe, you think so? He just cut off his BIL mooch, Sarah, who he was practically supporting. He is not financially prudent right now. T, he is angry and broken. He is talking about taking the Corolla and driving straight into the retention pond, but only after he posts the truth. You need to appease him, get him to sign the lease release and disappear before he burns your entire life to the ground. The next morning, Monday, I got a text from T. He used an old burner phone number I didn't recognize. T. Jack, stop this. We can talk about the money. I will pay you back the $1,247 security deposit. But you cannot do this to me. I ignored it. No contact rule. Stay silent. 5 hours later, another text. T. Okay, I spoke to the landlord. I will take over the full lease. I will not seek reimbursement for the deposit. I will sign the release form. I need you to confirm that if I do this, you will not contact me, Maya, or anyone in my professional network. Do you agree? I waited another hour just to ratchet up the tension. Then I texted back exactly 3 words. Me send the form. The lease release form was in my inbox 20 minutes later, already signed by T, witnessed by Chloe, who just signed C. Lopez and added a messy scribble, God bless her, and emailed over to me. I printed it at my mom's assisted living office using their corporate printer NGL, which felt like a small act of rebellion, and signed it immediately. I emailed the fully executed form to the landlord and then deleted T's burner number. Small victory. I was financially free of T. I got my $623.50 security deposit portion back. T covered the remaining amount, which he should have done since he was the liar. My credit score was safe. It was Monday afternoon and I had exited a 2.5-year relationship and a financially binding apartment lease in less than 4 days, purely through strategic silence and Chloe's excellent performance art. I celebrated by stress-eating the Talenti gelato I had wisely rescued. 3 days later, work escalation. I realized I couldn't keep hiding in the beige room forever. I had to go back to work. I still had a job to do and I couldn't afford to get fired, especially now that I was truly on my own. I walked into the municipal planning office on Wednesday morning, 2 days after signing the lease release. I braced myself for the expected office gossip, but what I wasn't expecting was Maya Jones, 44F, waiting for me in the lobby. I literally froze just inside the turnstile. She was wearing a crisp white suit that probably cost more than my entire tax return. She looked calm, professional, and absolutely terrifying. Jack Lewis, she said, her voice dropping the customer service sweetness she sometimes used on the phone and adopting the razor-sharp tone of a prosecutor. I didn't break eye contact. I remembered Bates' advice, no contact, but I couldn't exactly ignore her when she was physically blocking my path to the elevator. I swallowed hard. Maya, I cannot discuss personal matters at my place of employment. Please leave. I am here as a professional, Jack, she hissed. I filed an official complaint with your department's ethics board this morning regarding your personal interference with my zoning applications. My blood ran cold. That is ridiculous. Your application was denied because it violates City Code 47B. And I believe you denied it and subsequently used your access to my personal information, my phone number and email to initiate a clandestine relationship with my husband. T. I have proof of your correspondence and your shared residency. She was spinning the narrative. She wasn't the wife who got cheated on. She was the customer whose application was denied because her husband was sleeping with the city planner. I knew T, the professional liar, was giving her just enough information to make me look like the aggressor. I need you to understand something, Maya, I said, trying to keep my voice steady even though I was shaking. I had no idea T was married. He provided me with a fake divorce decree. You were my customer. He lied to both of us. But I have ended all contact with him. I have left the shared residence and signed the lease release. I am giving him the security deposit and I am not pursuing him legally or financially. I am doing exactly what your email demanded. I am cooperating and disappearing. Now, if you pursue a false professional complaint against me, I will immediately be filing a police report detailing T's identity fraud and bigamy. I have the signed lease, utility bills, and the engraved wedding ring in my possession. You can have your husband back, Maya, but if you mess with my career, I will expose him as a felon and your name will be all over the local news as the spouse who covered up his criminal activities. We are done, now move. I hadn't planned that speech. It just poured out, fueled by 2 weeks of anxiety, Pop-Tarts, and repressed anger over paying everyone's bills. I felt like I was going to throw up, but I stood my ground. Maya's face went white. She had clearly expected me to be the cowering, financially stressed older man she could push around. She hadn't expected the threat of actual legal escalation. Corporate law versus municipal planning ethics violations was one thing, bigamy and identity theft were another. You are making a big mistake, Jack, she whispered, stepping aside. No, Maya, T made the mistake. You are simply dealing with the fallout. Have a good day. I walked to the elevator, punched the button for the 5th floor, and didn't look back. I waited until I was safely in the elevator car before I leaned against the wall and realized my hands were so clammy they were dripping. I immediately went to HR and reported the interaction, stating that Maya Jones had attempted to intimidate me professionally over a personal matter involving her husband, who is also my former domestic partner. I gave them the basic facts. The relationship was over, the lease was handled, and I felt targeted because of my job. I printed a copy of her original threatening email, the 9:00 a.m. coffee shop one, and submitted it. This way, if she pursued the ethics complaint, I had already established the motive was retaliation, not actual misconduct. The Sarah resolution unexpectedly, so I am back in my new apartment NGL. It's a studio near my mom's place in Westfield. Rent is $980, which is manageable alone. It's small, but it's mine. I finished moving everything out of 3B by Tuesday with Chloe's help. A week went by where I was absolutely exhausted but functionally okay. I was eating better, sleeping longer than 4 hours a night, and I wasn't constantly checking my bank account for overdraft fees. I realized how much emotional bandwidth Sarah and Chloe's messes had been consuming. Then I got a text from Sarah 26F. I almost deleted it remembering my boundary, but the tone was different. Sarah, Jack, I'm sorry, I found a job waiting tables at that new place downtown. I'm staying with my friend Mia temporarily. I'm trying to figure things out. I didn't realize how much I was leaning on you. I really am sorry. I read it twice. No demand for cash, no victim complex, just an apology and an update about a job. I called her. She answered immediately. Sarah, are you okay? Yeah, T was really creepy after you left. He tried to get me to confirm his timeline of events and then he just completely ignored me. When Chloe changed the Netflix password, I realized I had to actually do something. I talked to Mia and she said if I got a job, I could crash here for a month. I'm scared, NGL, but I got tips last night. $117 in cash. It's the first money I've earned in months. It turns out TS sudden disappearance and my harsh boundary had been the shock to the system Sarah needed. When my support system failed, she finally had to stand on her own 2 feet. That's great, Sarah. I am proud of you, I said, and I meant it. Can I call you next week just to update you? I don't need money. I just miss talking to you. Yeah, Sarah, call me next week. I hung up, feeling lighter than I had in years. It wasn't a perfect resolution. She still has a lot of growth to do, but the mooch was mooching off someone else, and for the first time she was taking agency over her life. Maybe I hadn't raised her, but I certainly enabled her, and now that enablement was over. The Chloe conspiracy, Chloe 45F, and I officially moved everything out of 3B that Tuesday. I paid her back the $85 for the plumber and gifted her my old air fryer as a thank you for her operative work. She gave me the final report from apartment 3B. T is completely alone now, she said while we were drinking cheap champagne in my new studio. Mine never showed up at 3B. She must have decided you were too volatile to deal with. He is miserable. He's eating cereal out of the box. He tried to watch Love is Blind with me, but he kept talking about his finances. Did he try to talk about me? Oh yeah, he kept saying Jack was the one I wanted to grow old with. Maya is just business. I told him that was the saddest thing I had ever heard and that if he truly wanted you, he wouldn't have married his corporate sugar mama. Did he believe the revenge narrative? Absolutely. He is convinced that any day now you are going to post the LinkedIn equivalent of the Pentagon Papers. He even took down his own LinkedIn profile temporarily. The BMW is covered in bird poop and he hasn't cleaned the kitchen sink. It's truly tragic. Chloe also informed me that she had found a new, slightly bigger apartment with 2 roommates who promised to be significantly less messy. She even offered to split the cost of replacing the ruined carpet in 3B, which she definitely didn't have to do, but it was a sign of growth for Chloe. I had been so focused on T and Maya, I hadn't realized how much my chaos had helped Chloe and Sarah finally gain some perspective on their own lives. My personal implosion was apparently a catalyst for others. Go figure. The final contact almost. It's been exactly 3 weeks since I saw that LinkedIn post. I am eating ramen every night, but I have $1,500 in my checking account, which is the most I've had since Christmas. I visited my mom and she seems happier too, knowing I'm not stressing about 3B. I've started working on my garden plot at the community center. The only remaining loose end was T. I hadn't heard from him since the lease email. I was fully prepared for him to attempt contact again, maybe in a month when the shock wore off. But this morning I got a text from Bait, Jack, don't respond to this. But her husband told me what happened. T filed for legal separation from Maya yesterday. Apparently she took him to the cleaners over this. She wants to ensure her assets are protected, and the only way to prove he wasn't spending community property money on you was to officially end the marriage and assume all liability for his debts. I stared at the text. T was officially getting divorced, not because he wanted to be with me, but because Maya wanted to protect her portfolio from his 2-timing debt-ridden shenanigans. I laughed, a real deep belly laugh. It wasn't the satisfying revenge I might have once dreamed of, no public shaming, no confrontation, but the quiet, logistical destruction wrought by his corporate wife was infinitely better. She did the job I was too tired and financially strained to do. T was alone, probably broke, and dealing with a divorce initiated by the Queen of Chaos. I also got an email from HR this afternoon. It was brief. Mr. Lewis, we have reviewed the ethics complaint filed by Maya Jones regarding zoning permit 2023 for 48. The claim has been dismissed due to lack of merit and evidence of personal bias on the part of the complainant. Please note, we appreciate your transparency in handling this difficult situation. I won. Professionally and personally, I didn't have to fight. I just had to disappear and let the 2 people who were accustomed to controlling others deal with the mess they created. I still think about T sometimes, especially when I see a BMW or hear someone talk about tech sales. It hurts, NGL. It hurts that I wasted 2 years on a carefully constructed fiction. I should have seen the signs. I should have set boundaries with Sarah and Chloe years ago, which might have given me the emotional clarity to see through TS lies. I was too busy being the financially responsible fixer that I didn't realize I was the primary victim. But I am free now. I still have bad days where I wake up in a cold sweat thinking about the $43.67 I spent on energy drinks for Sarah, or the $85 I paid the plumber, or the $300 lawyer consultation fee that just confirmed I was screwed. But yesterday, I finally finished unpacking the last box in the studio apartment, which was mostly filled with old books. I saw the framed picture of me and T from that weekend trip to Cape Cod. I took it out of the frame, shredded it, and put a picture of my dog who passed away 2 years ago back in the frame instead. I am 60, single, financially recovering, and eating ramen, but I'm no longer supporting a mooch, a messy roommate, or a bigamist. I am focusing on me. I'm even thinking about asking out the nice woman who runs the front desk at the assisted living facility. She made a joke about my sad gas station coffee the other day, and I actually laughed. I learned that sometimes the only move you have left is to walk away, change the password, and let the chaos consume itself. No contact wasn't running away, it was establishing the strongest boundary of my life. Anyway, that's the update. I'm going to go make sure I change the password on Disney Plus again. Gotta protect those assets. We'll update if T tries to friend me on Facebook, but TBH, I doubt he has the courage. He knows Jack Lewis is done.